So yesterday at work, I kid you not, every single one of our crazy clients either called or came in. Every single one of them. My morning rush doesn't usually start until around 8, which is when the next person comes in, right? No big deal. Except for that, yesterday the morning rush began at like 6:30, 7 o'clock. I swear to God, we had our entire parking lot was double filled. We had like we've got 4 spaces and a handicap spot, and we had like 10 cars in our itty bitty parking lot. 10. There were triages. There were the crazy people, and then like the phone's ringing off the hook. And so we've got 2 new girls, both of which are kind of like if they had 2 brain cells to rub together, wouldn't that just be lovely? But no. And I told Beatrice, you know what? You can't have them on the phone because they don't know how to answer any questions. And so, what's the point of having them on the phones? We need to train them before they deal with people. Because otherwise, there's no point in it. Because then, not only do I have to do my job, but I have to answer every single inane question that they come up with whenever they answer the phone. And I just don't have the time. And I feel really bad because I've really been snapping their heads off. But it's been really busy, and I can't do my job and their job at the same time. So I'm just like, hey, no, you need to deal with this and be more better. They are not as awesome and on top of it as me and Robin were. They actually need training, and they need to know how to use the computer system. They need to know how to use everything, and not just like throwing them into the fire, because that's not really fair to anybody, including me. So Linda Wells calls at like 6. Linda Wells calls and says, last night, Bo got a hold of some tortellini. Okay, so your dog had dietary indiscretion. Well, at that point, that means that, if your dog has a little bit of a stomach upset, that's pretty much understandable. Bo had one single bout of diarrhea. One. She calls in a panic at 6 o'clock in the morning and insists that she must see the emergency doctor. Now, in the morning, they were so understaffed and we needed so many people that Dr. Lee told me that she would have brought in 4 technicians and tech assists to make the morning better. They had like 4 critical patients, 2 of which were dying. Um, and just like we had like 29 patients in the hospital or something ridiculous like that. So really we were understaffed, and this lady's dog had diarrhea once 6 hours ago. She's convinced it's got dehydration and it's gonna die. So I told her that if she wanted to come in, and she could come in because we are the emergency vet, you can come in, she will probably have to wait at least 3 hours to be seen, because that's what Dr. Lee told me. So Linda Wells calls our other doctor, Dr. Childs, the acupuncturist, and says that we won't see her. And I explained to Dr. Childs, no, we will see her. She'll just have to wait because it's not a critical emergency at all. And we're severely understaffed. And so she'll have to wait, just like an emergency room for people. And so Dr. Childs was like, okay, fine. Well, we'll try to get her to CARP and just make up some fluids and needles and a drip set and blah, blah, blah. So I put all that together for her, and she comes in, and we're like, okay, so we have your fluids and needles. No big deal. He's gonna be fine. He had one bout of diarrhea 6 hours ago because he ate tortellini. And dogs aren't supposed to eat tortellini. So she comes in and she insists she must see the doctor. I have to see the doctor now because my dog is gonna die. My dog is gonna die. He's got dehydration. You don't understand. He was hospitalized for this like 3 weeks ago. And 2 weeks ago they told me that he was fine and that his hydration was fine and that he could discontinue the fluids, and then I stopped giving the fluids, and now he's had diarrhea, and now he's gonna die. Don't you understand? And we're like, lady, you're gonna have to wait. Because your dog is not critical. He's not even dehydrated. He's perfectly fine, except for the fact that he had diarrhea at midnight because you fed him tortellini. Jesus fucking Christ! The only crazy person who didn't call yesterday was Mrs. Blaha. I think she's kind of figured out that we're not going to put up with her shit anymore. Or maybe Bubbles is doing okay for 30 seconds. But every single other crazy person called. Because, they hate me.